In the overall scheme of things, the fact that Trump demolished the Rose Garden and replaced it with a Mar-a-Lago style patio, or the fact that they plan to add a gigantic ballroom to the White House, isn't the biggest deal, right? Like there's much more horrible stuff happening, coming out of this government. The administration put out a draft plan, for example, to enforce its birthright citizenship order, free to do so by the Supreme Court. And in that draft order, it explicitly contemplates having ICE agents at hospitals to like arrest babies, right? So, in the scheme of things, these are pretty minor. And yet, sometimes it's the minor things that really can give you a sense of the character of a regime in the same way that it's often the most mediocre movies that give you a good sense of the zeitgeist for a given period in Hollywood history. The president might live in the White House. It is his residence, but the White House doesn't belong to the president. The White House belongs to the American people. And in fact, Congress is the one that pays for basically everything that happens in the White House. It is part of congressional appropriations. The president is a tenant. He's there for a short amount of time, and it's all contingent on what the American people want. It's why past major renovations of the White House have involved congressional approval, even if it was pro forma. Because, again, the White House does not belong to the president. The president only lives there. So, with this Rose Garden demolition and really with this ballroom, what we have is a solid indication of how Trump conceptualizes the presidency. There's been no congressional authorization for a new ballroom or new construction at the White House. There's been no congressional appropriation. This, in fact, will be paid for by private donations, which seems like it's just graft. Trump is unilaterally deciding that he's going to add a big ballroom to the White House. But who gave Trump that authority? What right does he have? It's not his house.
Not his house.
He can't add a ballroom of his own accord any more than I can go over to my neighbor's house and build a patio, even though it's my money. It's not my house. But Trump conceptualizes the presidency as belonging to him. He conceptualizes the White House as belonging to him. He does not see himself as holding an office or being a steward for an office. He sees himself as embodying the office itself, and in some sense, being not just the president, but a kind of boss of America. In this relatively minor issue of a renovation, what we see really are Trump's essential authoritarian and dictatorial impulses. Or to put this a little differently, if you wanted a sign that this guy just doesn't intend on leaving, this is a sign.